Jesus feeds the 5,000, a soothing retelling. As the sun climbed high over the Sea of Galilee, Jesus and his disciples sought a quiet place to rest. They had been teaching and healing in the towns, and the crowds had grown so large that they scarcely had time even to eat. So they boarded a small boat and set out across the shimmering waters toward a remote hillside, hoping for solitude and prayer. But the people saw them leaving. Word spread quickly from village to village, and soon thousands began walking along the shore, following the direction of the boat. They came from nearby towns, their sandals raising dust on the ancient paths. Mothers carried children, the elderly leaned on walking staffs, and the sick came hoping for healing. When Jesus stepped from the boat onto the grassy shore, he saw them waiting. The hillside was covered with people, perhaps 5,000 men, and many more women and children beyond that number. His heart filled with compassion, for they seemed like sheep without a shepherd, wandering and seeking truth. Instead of seeking the solitude he had planned, Jesus welcomed them. He began to teach, his voice carrying across the hillside as the people sat in the spring grass. He spoke of the kingdom of God, of mercy and justice, of love that knows no bounds. He moved among them, touching the sick and making them whole. The hours passed like moments. The sun began its slow descent toward the western hills, painting the sky in amber and rose. The disciples grew concerned. They approached Jesus and said, "Master, this is a remote place, and the hour is already late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages to find food." But Jesus looked at his disciples with a gentle challenge. "You give them something to eat," he said. Philip calculated quickly. It would take more than half a year's wages to buy enough bread for each person to have even a bite, he protested. Andrew came forward hesitantly. "There is a boy here who has 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish," he said. "But how far will they go among so many?" The boy stepped forward. His lunch was humble: dark barley loaves and 2 small pickled fish, the kind a mother might pack for her son's day. Yet he offered it without hesitation, placing it in Jesus' hands. Jesus smiled at the child's generosity. "Have the people sit down," he instructed. The people sat in groups of 50 and 100, creating a beautiful pattern across the hillside. Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks. In that moment of gratitude, something miraculous began. He broke the loaves, and as he broke them, there was more. He gave them to his disciples, and the disciples moved among the crowd, distributing the bread and fish. The breaking and giving continued, an endless stream of provision flowing from those original 5 loaves and 2 fish. Every person who reached out received bread. Every hungry mouth was fed. The disciples kept returning, their baskets still full, their eyes wide with wonder. And the people ate until they were satisfied, until no one was hungry anymore. Families sat together sharing the miraculous meal. Strangers broke bread with one another. The hillside became a place of fellowship and plenty. When everyone had eaten their fill, Jesus said, "Gather the pieces that are left over. Let nothing be wasted." The 12 disciples moved through the crowd, collecting the fragments. When they returned, they had filled 12 baskets with broken pieces, one for each disciple. There was more left over than what they had started with, 12 baskets full from 5 small loaves and 2 fish. The people, witnessing this sign, began to say, "Surely this is the prophet who is to come into the world." They had been fed not just physically but spiritually. They had seen the compassion of God made visible, abundance breaking into their need. As twilight settled over the Sea of Galilee, the crowd began to disperse, no longer hungry, carrying with them transformed hearts. They had come seeking, and they had found more than they imagined, a glimpse of a kingdom where there is always enough, where the smallest offering becomes abundant in the hands of love.